know what your so-called nationality means, right? You're from the tribe of Ephraim. Now that you know what your so-called nationality is, right? Your so-called nationality is Puerto Rican, which means port of riches, right? What God calls you in the Bible is Ephraim, right? What land do the so-called Puerto Ricans inhabit today? Puerto Rico, right? So that's where your ancestors come from. Here, real quick. When the so-called conquistadors came over here to teach the Puerto Ricans Spanish, right? What happened to them? They became slaves. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 28. You know a little bit, right? You know a little bit. You know about the Boricuas? You don't know about the Boricuas? That's what they were calling themselves before they were called the Puerto Ricans. Read Deuteronomy chapter 28. Start at 28 and 1. Or start at Deuteronomy 1 and 1. I want to get the audience. Because what we're about to read is in the book of Deuteronomy who Moses was talking to, right? And we want to see if it lines up with who your ancestors are or who your people are today. That makes sense? Give me that.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, or excuse me, chapter 1, verse 1.
Bring it up.
These be the words which on this side Jordan, in the wilderness, in the plain.
Start again. You missed something. These be the words.
These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side Jordan.
It said, these be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side Jordan, right? So who was Moses speaking to? I wanted to get the audience of who Moses was speaking to. Who was he speaking to? You say to us, right? But what does the Bible just say? Read it again.
These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. All Israel.
So who was Moses speaking to? To Israel, right? So now when we read later in the chapter, who is it talking to? Go to verse 28, go to chapter 28 and verse 15. Watch this. I want you to listen up very close, because what we're about to read is what you see right here. Remember, I told you earlier, our people need vision, because if they don't see what's actually going on in this Bible, they can't visualize it. Right. Read.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15.
Bring it out.
But it shall come to pass.
So this is a future prophecy. Moses said, it shall come to pass. Read.
If thou wilt not hearken.
The word hearken means to hear. It means to listen. Read.
Unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
If we didn't listen to God, read.
To observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So if we didn't listen to God to do all his commandments that he obeyed, that we were supposed to do, right? All these curses will come upon us and overtake us, right? Teach. Now before we read it, does this look like a blessing that happened to us? No, it looks like a curse, right? So now, give me Deuteronomy 28 and 31. Watch this. Because the so-called Puerto Ricans were dwelling in Puerto Rico before the Spaniards came. Yeah. True? Watch this.
This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 31. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes.
It says, thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes. Now, when the Spaniards came over here, they didn't only come to Puerto Rico. They came to Mexico. They came to Guatemala. Right. They came to El Salvador. Right. They came to South America. Right. They also came to North America, right? The Bible says what?
Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes.
Meaning your food, they are going to kill all the animals that you eat. You won't have anything to eat. Read.
Right. And thou shalt not eat thereof.
And thou shalt not what?
Thou shalt not eat thereof.
So remember, Moses said, if you don't keep God's commandments, all these curses are going to come upon you. What does that sound like? They created a famine. Right. They created a famine so they can starve the people. Right.
Thine ass shall be violently taken away.
And all the horses that you ride is going to be taken away. Right? So now, when they came over there to slaughter the people, they took away their food sources. They took away the way they got around on the land. Read.
From before thy face.
Come Come back.
And shall
come
not
closer, sis. Come
be
closer,
restored
sis.
to thee.
Come closer. All right? And it shall not be restored unto you, right? So now, today, your mode of transportation is a car. Did they give it to you, or did you have to work hard and buy it? Why they don't give it to you? Why they don't restore it back to you? Now the foods that you eat, right? Do you have to work hard and buy it, or do they give it to you? You have to work hard and buy it. Read. Get verse 32.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. In colonization, right? In colonized times, right? Guess what they did to our sons and daughters? They sold them. They sold them. The so-called Hispanics were sold just like who? Just like the so-called blacks. You might not know much about it because it happened 200 years before the so-called blacks were enslaved. But we're still the same people. We still fell under the same curses.
Bring it out.
Read.
And thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
So now, give me verse 40. Give me verse 48.
This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
It says, therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. At the beginning of the verse, we read that God would put these curses upon us for not hearkening. Who sent our enemies against us? God sent our enemies against us, right? We like to say, oh, the devil did it. Oh, sin happened. Whatever. We blame it on everything else. But guess what? God sent our enemies against us for not listening to it. Right. For not listening. It's the same thing you do with your children. You got children? Same thing you do with your children. You don't want to listen?
Right.
Whoop your butt. Now, is daddy evil for that? No, he wants better for you. Right. Same thing with God. Punishment because he wants better for you.
Right.
Read it again.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger.
In what?
In hunger.
So God sent our enemies against us in hunger. In hunger. Right? So now, where do you go to get your food today? Huh? Grocery store. Who owns that? The same people that came and colonized the land, right? So God sent your enemies against you in hunger. You go to Walmart. You go to Winco. You go to Safeway. Wherever you want to go, Sam's Club, Costco. Who owns those? The same people that came over here and did this to you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying, Reed?
And in thirst.
And in thirst. Who owns Crystal Geyser, Aquafina, Smart Water? We don't own that stuff.
Right.
It's not owned by a Puerto Rican.
Teach.
You see what I'm saying?
Bring it out.
It should be free. And that's what the Bible also says.
Right.
Give me that in Lamentations 5:1.
Read it out.
I'm going to show you what you just said is Bible prophecy. Read that. Lamentations chapter 5 verse 1. You said it should be free because it's a resource of the earth, right? It comes from the sky. But guess what? If you collect it, what would happen? You get in trouble. You get fined. You get ticketed. You can get thrown in jail.
Right.
Cousin was a 22-year-old that was found in the back of the car.
Found in the back of the car.
On last week, Friday the 12th.
Last week.
Can't help but fall as candles burn in memory of 22-year-old Zambrisha Works. Her body was disturbingly found after she had been beaten to death and left in the backseat of a 2017 Dodge Journey on Stahala near the
Seasons changing, we go harder. Barely get sleep, I hit the streets, I got my guard up. I know we probably did some things that we not proud of. That's why the Father had to leave us at the bottom. But I ain't tripping cause he got us. We on the mission time, ticking on that timer. Taking the kingdom, ain't no secret, bro, we got us. Cause ain't no respect without power.
Look, see me rising up, you better get back. Harmless as a dove, but you still gon' feel my impact. That young lion, Simba back. Nourished off the Similac. Now everything you built is at stake. Don't
let it be known, we need y'all. Us black women need y'all king.
Women, but I'm beating on this great whore. I'm no longer ignorant, I made it out that great war. Casting down doctrines now, need I say more? Yes, man, give me my respect now. Babylon falling in my knees on her neck now. She screaming, I can't breathe, I love that sound. Know what I'm saying? You looking
Lamentations, chapter 5, verse 1.
Bring it out.
Remember, O Lord, what has come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach.
It says, remember, O Lord, what has come upon us. Remember, the Lord sent our enemies against us. Now we're asking the Lord to remember what you did to us. Read.
O Lord, what has come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Our inheritance is turned to strangers.
It says our inheritance, the lands that we own, the houses we possess, our culture, everything is turned to strangers, right? Strange people who came and took the land.
Right.
Get to the point where it say water.
Verse 4. We have drunken our water for money.
We've drunken our what?
Our water for money.
Our own rivers. Out of our own rivers, now we gotta buy it.
Right.
What do they do to the rivers now? They poison it. You can't go to the river and drink no more. You can't even go and eat your own fish. You got too much mercury in it.
Right.
You gotta pay to go to the water. You gotta go get a fishing license. Right? Read it again.
We have drunken our water for money.
It says we drunken our water for money. Read.
Our wood is sold unto us.
And then it says our wood is sold unto us. We gotta go to the store to get wood to put in our fireplace to keep warm.
Right.
Back then we can cut our own tree down in our backyard. You can't do that today. It's illegal now. Give me Deuteronomy 28. My sister right here. Come closer. Come closer. I want to ask you some questions too. I want you to get in on the conversation, right? You got to get to work. So now, what I was showing you, right? I know you got to get to work. What I was showing you, right, was the curses to show you your identity of who you was. So now, Moses was speaking to the Israelites, right? I didn't even get to the main point, but you got to go to work. So now, what is the solution to get us out of these curses?
Right.
What did we do to get into them, and what's the solution to get out of them?
Teach.
Huh? You say teach, right? So if we teach, let me ask you, you can go teach your kids right now, right? But if you don't do what you teach, would it matter? It's pointless, right? If I want to be a doctor, I have to go to school and study to be a doctor. And I have to do everything a doctor does so I can teach somebody else, right? So now what do you got to do? You got to do what this Bible says.
That's right.
That was the problem. That was the problem. Today we're not doing what the Bible says, right? You don't even own the Bible because you never knew it was your history. You thought it was this man's history, right? You thought it was this man's history, didn't you? Keep it real. This who you thought owned the Bible and who the Bible was about. That's what you thought, right? Give me that in Solomon chapter 1 and verse 5. Solomon chapter 1 and verse 5. Let me ask you this. When you go to Puerto Rico, right? All your people in Puerto Rico range from your color to my color, correct? Right? Showing you that we are the same people. We are the same people. Watch this. I'm going to show you what the prophets in the Bible look like.
This is the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 5.
Bring it out. Yeah, give me verse 5.
Verse 5. I am black.
What did King Solomon say?
I am black.
King Solomon says, look, I am black, showing you that the people of the Bible didn't look like that.
Right.
They look like your people.
Right.
You understand? They look like your people. Read it again.
I am black, but comely.
Now this is Jesus Christ's great-great-grandfather. This is his great-grandfather. So if his great-grandfather looked like that, how does he look? Around the same, right? Now turn your flyer over. Turn your flyer over. I want you to look at the imagery, right, that we got here. You see this image, right? We're going to read Revelation chapter 1 and verse 14. And I want you to match this image up. I want you to match the words up with either this image or this image. And we're going to see which one it looks more like. Can you see that? Can you see those images over there? We want to see out of the Bible what Jesus Christ looks like.
Right.
Give me that.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 1 and verse 14.
Bring it out.
His head and his hairs were white like wool.
His head and his hairs were white in color, woolly in texture, right? My brother in the car right here. Is this white and woolly? That's not white and woolly.
Bring it out.
Come on, read.
As white as snow.
And it was as white as snow, right? Telling you the color. red because Christ drank wine in moderation.
Bring it out.
His first miracle was turning water into wine, was it not? So Christ's eyes was red. Read.
And his feet.
And when we look down at Christ's feet, they didn't wear Jordans back then. They didn't wear Air Force Ones. They wore sandals. When they looked down at Christ's feet, guess what? What color was his feet?
And his feet like unto fine brass.
And his feet was like brass. What color is brass?
That's
a brown color. But not only was it brown because you're brown. My brother right here is brown. My brother right here is brown. My brother right here is brown. He's brown. We're shades of brown, right?
That's right.
Not only was it brown, but how brown was it? Read.
As if they burnt in a furnace.
It was so brown as if it burned in a furnace.
That's
Let
right.
me ask you this. On your flyer, is it the man at the bottom or is it the man at the top? Come on now.
Right.
Because you always thought that the Bible was not about your people.
Right.
The Bible is about your people.
Teach.
This is your history book. When you look in when you look in the Bible, that's a mirror of your people.
Right.
You're looking at yourself and your ancestors. Give me Jeremiah 17 and verse 4. I understand you got to go to work. I got to keep teaching. So watch this. Give me Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4. Watch this.
Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4.
Bring it out.
And thou, even thyself.
This is the prophet Jeremiah. These are nothing but prophecies. Nothing but prophecies. So what I'm reading to you, it happened to us today.
Right.
Because Jeremiah was hundreds of years ago. And he's talking to the Israelites. He's telling them what's going to happen. Read.
Shall discontinue from thine heritage.
He says, thou even thyself shall discontinue from thy heritage. What does the word discontinue mean?
You know?
It means to stop. You see what I'm saying? So the heritage that you had back here, the heritage that you had at this time, are you still keeping that? Do you still have that? No. Exactly.
Right.
Jeremiah said, you shall discontinue. That's your uncle? All praises. Jeremiah said, you shall discontinue from your heritage. Meaning you're going to be cut off from it. Read. How you doing,
Thou
sister?
shalt discontinue from thine
Come
heritage
closer, sis.
that I gave thee. And
You're going to be discontinued from the heritage that God gave you.
Right.
Your God-given heritage. The foods that you eat, the language you speak,
Right.
the land you came from,
Right.
the customs you kept.
Right.
You keep Christmas, right? You do, right? Why you don't keep Passover? Feast of Dedication. Huh?
Teach.
Day of Simon. Day of Atonement.
Teach,
Feast of Tabernacles.
Right.
That's your custom, but you've been cut off from it.
That's right.
So you don't know how to keep it anymore. Read.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
Didn't we just read that in Deuteronomy? Read it again.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
Now if you want anything, if you want toilet paper to wipe your butt, who you gotta go buy it from? You gotta go buy it from the people who set up stores in your neighborhood. You gotta go buy it from the people that you just got through working 10 hours to get the money from.
That's right.
The same people that own your job, own your grocery store.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Teach.
So you gotta go serve them and then spend that money at their store.
Bring it out.
And it's a continual cycle. That makes sense? So guess what? That's what that makes you. You are those Israelites. Go back to Deuteronomy 28 and verse 48 real quick. You are those Israelites because these curses fit you and the people in your neighborhoods. You are God's chosen people. You're not niggas. You're not Hispanics. You're not black. You're not Native Americans. You are the Israelites.
That's
The
right.
word Israel means a prince that has power with God.
That's right.
What does Hispanic mean? It means property of Spain.
Right.
Hispanic means you belong to Spain.
Teach.
That's not who you are.
That's right.
You're not a slave.
Teach.
You are God's chosen people. Give
Right.
me that.
Bring it out.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48.
Bring it out.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies,
God says we were going to have to serve our enemies. Read.
which the Lord shall send against thee
Uh-huh.
in hunger.
So at the bottom of this verse is going to give you a detail of who your enemies are. So first you got to serve them in hunger. We established that we got to go to Walmart, Winco, Safeway. We have to serve our enemies in hunger. Read.
And in thirst,
And in thirst we got to serve our enemies. Right? Read.
and in nakedness,
And in nakedness, let me see. The clothes on your back says made in China, made in Korea, made in made in Taiwan. Right. It don't never say made in Puerto Rico. It don't never say made in Africa, America. Right. It don't never say made in Native America. Right. It don't never say that. Why? Because you got to serve your enemies for it.
Right. And in want of all things.
If you want to walk down the street and not get harassed by cops, you got to get a ID. Right. You want to drive your car, you got to get a driver's license. You want toilet paper, you got to go to Walmart. And one of anything you want. You want to die, you got to get a death certificate. You want to live, you got to get a birth certificate. Right. Am I lying? So you got to serve your enemies in one of all things.
Right.
And that same enemy, remember I told you it's going to identify who the enemy is. That same enemy, read,
shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
The same God giving you a clue. Your enemy is going to be the one that put the yoke of iron on your neck.
Right.
Bet you didn't know Hispanics had yokes of irons on their neck. Bet you didn't know that. Bet you didn't know Native Americans had yokes of iron upon their neck.
Teach.
We know the so-called African Americans had yokes of iron upon our neck, but it happened to our brothers over here too. Right? So God says that that same enemy is going to put a yoke of iron upon your neck. Read.
Until he have destroyed thee.
Until you don't know that you're the Israelites no more. Until you calling yourself Hispanic. Until you keeping Christmas willingly. Until you keeping Thanksgiving willingly.
Right.
Until you're doing all those things willingly and you don't know who you are. That's how you know that you're destroyed.
Bring it out.
That's how you know that you've been cut off from your heritage. Read.
Until he have destroyed thee, and the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
So now, it says the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far. How far did Spain come to conquer this land? The whole other side of the earth.
Right. Get out.
Right? So now watch this. What's the solution? What's the solution to all that we've learned? All these things happen to us. What's the solution to get back in good graces with God so we can get our heritage back? Huh? What he told us to do, right? I'm gonna give you one. I'm gonna give you one right now. I'm gonna give both of y'all brothers one right now. Give me Leviticus chapter 21 and verse 5.
Leviticus chapter 21 and verse 5.
Bring it out.
They shall not make boldness upon their head.
We can't do the Michael Jordan. We can't do the Charles Barkley.
Right.
We can't do that thing. God says don't make baldness upon your head. Now if you're going bald right here, you can't control that. But some people just shave it off. Right? Read.
Neither shall they shave off the corners of thy beard.
Oh, you can't do that goatee no more. You can't do the line up like this no more.
Right.
God said, neither shall they do what?
Neither shall they shave off the corners of thy beard.
Right. So now you see all the brothers and you wonder why they got nice big beards or whatever they can grow. I don't got a big one like him, but I got what I can grow. God says don't shave it off.
That's right.
You might think it's small, but no commandment is small to God.
Right.
There ain't no small commandment to God. You don't do it, captivity. Right. You don't do it, serve your enemies.
Right.
I'll see that. Watch this. Give me what you want? Give me Numbers chapter 15:38. We gotta start doing what God said.
Hey,
let me show you this.
Moral law.
Yes, sir.
Moral law.
Give me Leviticus 19.
Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 17.
Bring it out.
Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart.
The Bible says we're not to hate our brothers in our heart.
Right.
My brother right here in the car. My brother right here in the car. Before you leave off. My brother, before you leave off. In our own neighborhoods, how do we hate our own brothers? I said how? How do we hate our own brothers? Gangs. That's right. Gang violence. I wear blue, you wear red. I bang this block, you bang that block. And that's the point. God says what? Hold on. God says what?
Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart.
That's the commandment.
Right.
Hey, how much better would our communities be if we just applied that? That's right. If we just applied that, we wouldn't walk up to each other and size each other up. Right. We'd be like, hey, how you doing, brother? Shalom.
Right.
We used to scream black power while Haram was pushed But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.